The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, welcome everybody to this webinar. Good morning to you all. My name is Keith Fingleton. I'm a practice director in Storm Technology, and I'm a practice director in the data analytics space. So again, welcome one and all. Today's webinar actually has been recorded, so just for data protection purposes, I just have to mention that. It'll be on our website if anybody wants to play it back or share it with colleagues. So we have a good agenda for you today. It's great to see so many people on the webinar this morning. So just looking at the agenda for today. I'm very pleased to have Tibbs Pereira, who's a solutions specialist with Microsoft, on the webinar with us this morning. I'll be handing over to Tibbs for an introduction into this space in a few moments. I'll be moving on myself then to a very quick overview of Storm Technology. Good to see so many existing customers on the call, but one or two new ones as well. So I'll be briefly explaining what Storm Technology do. But then really on to the meat of the agenda, which is a discussion around the reality of business intelligence today, with a special focus on the Microsoft Self-Service BI area. And we'll move into a demo so you can see it all in action. And then questions. So within the software that you're using, you should see a question pane at any point. If you have any questions or queries, please feel free to type your questions in there. And we'll probably just deal with them at the end. And also towards the end, we'll deal with some next steps in relation to where we move on from here. So really, without further ado, I'll hand you over to Tibbs. So Tibbs, welcome.
Thanks very much, Keith and Ian. Delighted to be in this webinar with Storm. Over many years, you've proven your capabilities in implementing solutions very successfully for many Microsoft customers, and that's going back a long time. Keith, I think you're going to go through all the competencies that you have, but I would like to just mention that competencies are really important because they're Microsoft's way of making sure that our partners have proven capabilities in a number of areas, which Keith will go through. In relation to Storm, has proven to be one of our most capable partners going back a long way. And in relation to business intelligence and analytics, Storm have got some really good competencies, not just around BI, but also around things like application integration, collaboration, project and portfolio management, and so on. Also, Storm do work really well with our product groups in the US and locally in Ireland as well, and are part of the Power BI TAP program. So they're close to the latest developments. This is a really fast-moving area for Microsoft, and it's great to have Storm on board. I'll just mention a few things in relation to data warehousing and analytics on a Microsoft platform. So over the last kind of 4 or 5 years in particular, we've made significant investments in business intelligence, analytics, and data warehousing. And that means that we can offer an end-to-end platform, starting from the back end, where you have your data repositories. Increasingly now we're getting sources like big data, people who want to stream data directly into their business and perform some analysis. There's also the area of enterprise information management, and how do you enrich that data, and how do you make it accessible to people so that they can discover data for themselves. Particularly in the business, we're finding more and more that people are very comfortable with technology and actually are demanding kind of more data rather than less. It's seen more and more as a business function, and things like data cleanliness, having good data, making sure that they can actually get insights themselves and then share those insights with other people is becoming increasingly increasingly important. And moving into the whole area of self-service, via mobile devices, doing things in real time, and really importantly, being able to collaborate with people. So if they gain some insights, that they can actually share those throughout the organization to the right people, and collaborate on those insights as well is really important. And what makes Microsoft quite different is that we build the solution based on products that you probably already have. So, as you can see in the slide, there isn't a product called Microsoft BI that you have to go out and purchase, or that you've got to go and pay a huge amount of extra money for. It's built into products that you probably have already, primarily kind of SQL Server, where you're able to do your integration with data from a variety of different backends through things like integration services, enables you to perform your extract, transform, and load, able to build your cubes, able to clean your data with data quality services, able to present that data to your users using reporting services, and so on. So these are all things that are built into SQL Server, which is the most widely deployed data platform worldwide. And finally, when it comes to the users and what your users will see, most business intelligence professionals, and most people who want to look at data, will have Excel. So irrespective of what BI tool a corporate is using, sooner or later their analysts or their data professionals will copy and paste information into Excel. So what we've done is built a whole load of front-end BI features into Excel, which I think you'll see when Keith and Ian do the demo and so on. So it means that the biggest challenge of a business when it comes to business intelligence, which is the adoption of users and users really embracing the solution, becomes a lot easier because your users will already be familiar with Excel. So they don't have to learn a new user interface, they don't have to think about a different way of doing things, and so on. It also means from an IT perspective that whatever's deployed, because it's all based on people, on software and on products that IT knows how to manage, it means that it becomes a much more manageable solution. So overall, whether you're talking about the upfront cost, whether you're talking about the ability to manage the infrastructure, we have several advantages over anything else that you would have. In terms of functionality and in terms of the quality of the thing, of the solution you will have, we have Gartner and basically every analyst who will classify Microsoft as the leader, if not one of the leaders, when it comes to business intelligence and analytics. And you can see there that's the latest Gartner, the latest Gartner one, which was actually published last February. So it's due for a refresh. But the interesting thing there as well is that report was published before we made some major announcements last July. So we are in the space. We're a serious player. Our solutions are easy to implement. You have partners like Storm who have great capabilities in deploying these solutions. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take them towards the end of this session, but I'll hand over to Keith now.
So Great Tips really sets the context for the next 50 minutes or so, okay? So really, Storm Technology, a very brief introduction to what we do. We have a number of capabilities. The one that we're talking about today is around data analytics. So really, anything got to do with business intelligence or data analytics, we are the area within Storm that takes care of that. So we deal with customers who have capabilities, strong capabilities in many cases, around business intelligence, but may not know how to approach projects in a very rigorous and professional manner using the methodologies and best practices. So we deal with companies like that in order to help them with the BI strategy, and then right the way through to implementation. So looking, data analysis, data modeling, and right the way through to reporting and visualizations to make sure that users actually use the hard work that's been done by the data professionals within the organizations. We also have a large SharePoint group, we have a large CRM group, and we have an enterprise application platform group who do a lot of .NET development as well. So we're around 18 years in business, and as I mentioned, we have extensive custom solution development experience, and that's important in this context because we understand the pain that a lot of companies have in relation to different data sources. We have a lot of integration experience in relation to those data sources, and we understand the value that can be derived once a single view can be seen from those data sources. As Tibbs mentioned, we're a gold certified partner, and we're up around 80-85 IT professionals at the moment. And we work across a variety of verticals ranging from financial services through the public sector and the commercial space as well. So really, let's get into the webinar in earnest. The first point I usually make in relation to business intelligence, it's the concept of the world of data is changing. We probably all feel this in our daily lives, that there's just more data out there than ever before. And a lot of this is due to the transactional growth, but also a lot of it is due to new data sources, so image files and sensors. So there's extra data being driven and more, or gathered and more of it. And that's coupled with really what is called the consumerization of IT. So the way that we're all consuming and collaborating on data is changing. So we all carry around devices now which has really powerful computation capabilities, and we want to use those devices with data.
Where is he speaking?
Other points worth mentioning are the actual, while the data is changing, the actual questions are also changing. So questions are being asked around the social sentiment for brands or products. So the social and web analytics, so how effective is your online campaigns? Who am I reaching? Can I optimize the target for correct audience? We also see companies utilizing live data fields. So the example given in this slide is around fleet companies who are using live data feeds to look at weather patterns, so they have the best route for their trucks in the morning, and right way through to predicting future outcomes with advanced analytics. But there are problems and challenges. So there's a lot of challenges to unlocking these data insights. And really, despite the need for data-driven insights, organizations really are still struggling with broad adoption, and that can be categorized due to lack of skills and knowledge, issues around integration with existing tools, and issues around security and manageability. So it's that conflict between giving users the agility and control that they want, the agility and responsiveness that they want, while maintaining control within organizations around those data and those reports. And again, the issue around connected devices. So all of our users now have new expectations around mobility and collaboration and the ease of discovery and search. So really, just to go through very briefly the evolution of business intelligence. So we already started out fairly simply with IT really looking to consolidate and connect to existing data sources, and then staging that data for reporting and analysis, and then provisioning out reports and dashboards or cubes to users. So that's really the traditional view of business intelligence, and it's actually the current view of business intelligence within a lot of organizations. But again, there's issues with how users and the expectations around users. So the line between producers and consumers, it's really becoming blurred, and end users, in addition to IT, are creating business intelligence content. So today users expect to be able to do their own analysis and create their own reports. And the two most common ways that they do this is via Excel spreadsheets, and then there's a wide variety of specialized tools for analyzing data and reporting. But in creating their own BI solutions, end users really have effectively found a way to get data directly from various data sources. And they really have bypassed formal IT solutions and structures. So that really becomes a challenge for IT to control and to monitor and to manage these within the organizations. So really, is it possible to balance control with agility? So broadly speaking, you could categorize business intelligence into three broad areas, namely self-service BI, corporate BI, and advanced analytics. And as you can see from this slide, really the lines are blurred between those three broad categorizations. So if we look at corporate BI for a moment, which is really about scale and managing data access across the enterprise, what you'll see is a number of building blocks to a corporate BI strategy. So, you have dashboards for creating corporate dashboards and balanced scorecards. You allow users and businesses to track key performance indicators and to drill into root causes. You have reporting services, which a lot of people use, and they really are used for creating high-fidelity, pixel-perfect operational reports for the organization. In the analysis space, there's an OLAP engine, an industry-leading OLAP engine indeed, with analysis services. And that really provides a single semantic model for all the content needs. So it supports really the dashboarding, the analytical application, ad hoc reporting. But interesting enough, also it bridges the gap between end-user created BI content in Excel and IT managed corporate solutions. So IT professionals can now actually import Power Pivot workgroups directly into analysis services so that they can be professional data services and data quality services, which is really used to ease data management and improve data quality within these organizations. Then we have on the integration space technologies like SSIS, which is SQL Server Integration Services, which is used for data integration. Briefly then on the advanced analytics space, so really people are using this to uncover deeper insights within their organizations and try to predict future outcomes. Now this really says data scientists, but what we're finding is some of these tools are becoming increasingly used by end users as well. Examples of what I'm really talking about here, you could look at churn analysis, so anticipating customers who may be considering cancelling their service. So you could hopefully predict and identify benefits that will keep them from leaving. You can look at forecasting, predicting sales and inventory amounts, learn how they're interrelated. You can foresee bottlenecks and improve performance. Or just data exploration, so to analyze profitability across customers. But the important point is that this functionality now, it's very accessible for business analysts, and there's a very rich Excel plugin that can be used, which really combines the simplicity and familiarity of Excel with the very powerful capabilities of data mining. And it can be used to uncover non-intuitive data relationships and really identify trends to get more insights out of the data. And again, that is all within Excel now and very accessible to a lot of people. So really just re-emphasizing the point that Tibbs was making about the power that's now being put into an end-user tool like Excel. Which brings us nicely into the self-service area, which is really, as we mentioned, about empowering users with a tool that's very familiar to them within Microsoft Office, namely Excel. So these insights in Excel really are, Excel has now been used to discover, analyze, and visualize the data. And if you couple that with the collaborative capabilities within either Office 365 or SharePoint Online or even SharePoint On-Premise, you get a very, very powerful combination of deep dive data analysis with collaboration. So what is Excel in relation to self-service BI? Well, as I mentioned, it's a powerful, it really is becoming a most powerful business intelligence solution, and it's all within the Excel application itself. So the solution packaged the data discovery, analysis, and visualization process into one tool, and it's essential for business users who are looking to get really high returns on their data. So it can be used to discover data, so there's technologies like Power Query, analyze data, so there's technologies like Power Pivot, and then visualize data, and this is really a particular strength within Excel at the moment and within the Microsoft stack. So technologies like Power View and Power Map, which are very rich visual ways of interpreting data, are being built into these tools, and we will see examples of all these once we get onto the demo in a few moments. And really, this is also about extending the self-service BI with ease of collaboration and sharing of reports and data sets. And again, Office 365 can be used for this, or indeed, as I mentioned, SharePoint On-Premise can also be used. Within the Office 365 solution or the Power BI solution, there's one or two new features which are very interesting, which I'll demo after Ian finishes with his demo, and it's around really finding answers with search-based data visualizations in the Q&A features. And all of this, the key really is that once the data is uncovered and unlocked, that this data really should be available to people to consume when and where they want. And that's now possible via mobile, and not just mobile, but tablets, obviously. And there's mobile applications in the Power BI space for this, but also it's also been transmitted via HTML5, so it's cross-browser compatible. So really it's making this information available to end users when they want and how they want. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Ian Mead. Ian is a Microsoft Certified Master for SQL which is a fairly rare breed of certification. I think there's only 2 of them in Ireland. And he's a database architect here in Storm with us. And he's going to demo some of the self-service business intelligence capabilities, and he's actually going to start out with a blank Excel spreadsheet. He's going to find some data, analyze data, clean data, and he's going to bring the demo right away through to fairly rich visualizations, and all in the next few minutes. So he's starting out with a blank Excel sheet, which is always interesting in a demo context. So without further ado, I will hand over presenting duties to Ian.
Hello everybody, this is Ian Mead here. What we're going to do is show you some stuff in Excel. We're going to start off by opening up Excel and using Power Query, which is one of the new features of Power BI, which is one of the things coming from Microsoft. And what it does is allow you to pull data from a number of different sources. We're going to pull this data from the cloud, from the web at the moment, and we're going to pull in Irish county population, and we put that into the search box, and it comes up with a list of options for us, and we can browse through the options and see what the data looks like. And as we look through the preview, I see the one at the top looks very close to what I actually want, so I click on that, and that will be added into the workbook. So it's the information is pulled down to Excel so I can work with it. Okay, so looking at there's a few little bits and pieces that I'm concerned about. There's stuff like Fingal here and South Dublin, and I know they're included in the Dublin figure. There's also, if I go down to the bottom, there's an average and there's a total figure. So what I'm going to do is change this to get rid of that extra piece of information. So I go into the sheet behind it. I remove the ones I've looked at already. These ones marked with the dashes are the newer counties that roll up to the traditional counties, so I can get rid of those and get rid of the total and get rid of the extra information I don't want. I don't want this rank column, so I'll get rid of that too. Most of these I don't want, so I can get rid of those. I can get rid of these. I'll move the province over. Now I can save this data set and call it county population. We can save it and go back to Excel. Now I want to get some more information so we can query this a bit more. Okay, so back to the search screen. And this time I'm going to look for All Ireland GAA football senior by county. And this again goes back over the web to Wikipedia and looks for information for the county wins. And if I start looking down through it, it shows some information that I'm not interested in, like the clubs for each county and that type of stuff. So it takes me a bit more time to search around for the information I'm interested in, but it should be here in the list somewhere. That's one of the things you'll find. You'll need to spend a bit of time searching for the information that you want and getting the useful information, but it should be on the second page. Okay, this looks like what I want, so I add this in to the sheet. Okay, so there's All Ireland football winning counties. I'm also going to go and I'm going to add the hurling as well, if we can find. And it's always difficult typing with people watching. Now, okay, might be on this next screen. No, that looks like what I want. Okay, so now what I'll have is I got 3 different data sets. I have county population that we looked at and we did a bit of work on. I have the football and the hurling winners. And what I want to do is change the football and the hurling winners to make it easier for me to work with. So I can go to the Query tab, edit it like we saw before. And what we'll do here is remove the fields that we're not interested in. This field here, the years one, will be quite an interesting field to work with, and we can get the winner for each individual year. But for what we're doing today, we won't spend the time to do that, so we just delete it. And we can save this as football county. Okay, and we can do the same operation to the hurling. And if we go into the hurling, we remove the columns that we're not interested in. Rename this one to county to make it consistent with the other ones. So all this work is ETL work, which is traditionally done in a BI solution. And what we see is, what we're doing at the moment is we're actually writing a program, and we see the program being built here on the right. So we're building a set of steps which will be reapplied the next time the data is uploaded. So we can use this against a live feed that is updated once a year and pull the information that we want. So what we got now is the various counties. What we would do now is the data steward, the person who does this role, could publish this information into Office 365 for other people to use. But what we're going to do is we're going to push it just a little bit further and do some visualizations ourselves on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the different data sets together to make them easy to work with. So again, using Power Query, we use the merge tool. So we pick the county population, and we pick football, and we say we want to merge on county, and we have the two fields, same fields on both sides, so we can merge them through, and it pulls the information into a new data set for us. We can look at the county and turn it in so we just see the wins. We can merge in as well the next side, the hurling side. So we go back to the list, we click on county, and now this column for the football, we just change that into football so it's obvious what it means. And then same with hurling. Okay, and I missed a step where I took out the county just after the wins. But it's okay to do that because the program is built as we go along. It's quite interactive and easy to work with. Okay, the next thing we're going to do here is if we see these nulls, that's a special value, meaning that that county hasn't won anything in football or hurling, and it's a little easier to work with a 0 rather than a null. So we'll just move that into a 0. And what we're basically doing is we're going to the stages that somebody would do when they're building a BI solution. We get the data and we make it easy to work with, and we give the data to other people to work with. So we just save that as GAA winners, and we go back to Excel and we have the new table built for us. And once we get this table up and running, what we can do is we can do some visualizations on it using Power View. Power View is another one of the tools in Power BI. It's a little bit older than Power Query, so you'll have it as well in Excel 2013. Okay, so we're opening up Power View here. And what it has done is it's opened up a table for us, and then we can drag and drop with this table. One of the things we can do is pull the province out and have it in a tile, so we use it as a kind of a filter. I'm going to remove the province for a second. We can go back to this table, turn it into a chart. So it's charting the information that we're interested in. And it has the information on the hurling and the counties, and we can look at the stuff in various different ways, very, very easily, very interactively. We can look at a column chart. It doesn't look quite so nice because there's too many counties for that particular visualization, but you can pick the visualization that works well for what you're looking at. This one shows us along the side here the hurling and along the bottom the football wins. What we can do is we can drive the population in to show the county's population by size. So we can see Dublin is obviously a very big county, with quite a good number of football, smallish number of hurling. So that allows us to see the information very quickly. We can drag the province in to the color so we can see grouped by province, so we can see filter it down very quickly to the Connacht or the Leinster provinces. So that's a very quick idea of the types of things we can do, pulling data off the web and building a Power View within a few minutes. If we want to, we can push it further, but what we'll do for the next stage is we'll open up another report that I spent some time on and show you some of the more advanced visualizations we can get if we spend a bit of time on it. In this Excel sheet, what we have is we have a Power Pivot model behind. The scenes Power Pivot model is a bit like a cube. It's a way of gathering information together to let us use the information. And we're going to start by opening up the pivot table. And the pivot table has more structured information like the calendar and the product structure, and we can drag them onto the pivot table. And we have a number of pieces of sales information, the number of items sold, the cost, and the gross profit. So we can very interactively, very quickly drag and drop our stuff around, pull our information around, get a lot of value out of this very, very quickly. It's all very interactive and it's very potentially exciting for a lot of analysts in the organization. This type of operation is typically done by the power user, and they may be relying on information published by a data steward or built themselves. Okay, and one of the things we can do is we can build a table sheet that looks like this. This type of sheet can be used as a dashboard, and it will be often published up to SharePoint, so everybody could look at it maybe once a day or whatever, and this allows you to have a quick overview of what's happening in your organization. Across the top you got a set of filters called slicers, so clicking on your slicers refreshes the rest of the information on the sheet. You can go to the pivot tables and expand and collapse the pivot tables to see extra information. If we look at this pivot table, we got a KPI showing us how we feel about the profitability of that particular profit line. We can see this one in green, we're happy with that. This one in red, we've got issues, so we can drill down and see more information. As we see more information, what we notice is there's a data bar displaying in one color for the product categories, a different color for the subcategories, and as you go further down there's a different color again. So there's a bit of time and effort done into building this sheet, which is published up to SharePoint and used by a lot of people. We also have over here another pivot table. As we look at the other ones, we see the two ones on the left are refreshed, but this one on the right isn't refreshed from the slicers, and that's done deliberately to keep it the same as a reference point. So that's one of the things you might want to have on your dashboards. Okay, moving on, what we would have on the next sheet is some very simple graphs. And again, these are done based on the Power Pivot data, and a big pivot table which has an awful lot of information which may be useful to some users. Next we will move on to a set of Power View. The Power View is aimed at a different set of users than the pivot table and the stuff we've just seen. This is designed to be very much self-service. You do it yourself and it's very interactive. So if we look at this here, we got a set of product categories, some graphs from the product category. As we click around what we should see is the rest of the screen is interactively filtered for us. So we're seeing components at the moment. We see over here the cost and the gross profit is filtered down to the individual ones that we select. And we see down below we've got more information filtered down to what we select. And we see as we filter it, the information on some of the visualizations is retained but grayed out. Okay. Going on to the next one, we have a different set of visualizations. Up the top here, we have the bubble chart, which is different sizes for what we're interested in. So you can see, as we click on this, we see it's interactively filtering the other parts of the sheet for us. We can see that the bikes are filtered down, we can see the full value of the bikes, and we can see the part that comes from the black. So we can see, based on the colors, that we sell a lot of these types of stuff. So it's all very nice, very interactive, very quick and easy to do. Time analysis is another good option. This one here again has the bubble chart, and it has started off by category, but each category has a different color. So we can click on, say, the bikes, and we see just the bikes here, and the other ones are still displayed but grayed out. Or we could pick on an individual type of bike, like say the mountain bikes, and we can see it displayed in the other charts here. One of the ones that's a little bit interesting is the touring bikes, and what we see is we only started to sell them in a relatively recent period. Okay, so that allows us to look at the information in lots of different ways. Down the bottom here, we also have a timeline. So as you see, over time, our sales have moved, and we can see our various categories growing and moving over time. So it's going to be a very interesting, very powerful way to look at our data. Okay. The next one is we've gone use PowerView to go totally a different direction. We're looking very much at individual products in a lot of detail. And we have again the same filtering mechanism where we can filter down to individual product categories and subcategories. And as we do this, this visualization here shows us information for the products that we have in the selected group. And it even includes a picture that's coming from our database. So that's a very nice, very quick way of looking at your data. Okay, so that gives you a good idea how easy it is to get your data out of the web or out of your applications, get them into a Power Pivot model, and let people do their own pivot tables on it, do their own Power View on it, or share the information up to SharePoint. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show at the moment, so I'll just hand you back to Keith.
Okay, that's great, Ian. Thanks for that. So listen, a lot of information there in a very quick period of time. I suppose what we wanted to prove was, and again, obviously, the hurling football example is it's not real-world problems that you will be encountering within your business organizations, but it really is just to prove how people can actually just start out with a blank sheet, reach out, gather data, and it's possible to do that both internally and externally to your organization, and very, very quickly and hopefully intuitively, really just go through at what would probably be determined as a data expert type task in previous life, how to cleanse data and really working with data and splitting out fields, and it's all very, very, very intuitive and really within the capabilities of most people, if not all people who use Excel. A lot of power in your data, and now this power has been given to end users in order to look at those. Really what I wanted to just show now very, very quickly was what happens once those insights are really gathered, and once some value is got out of the data from a particular person, what happens then? So really what I'm showing you at the moment is the Office 365 site. So this is in particular a Power BI section of that. But the principles apply within Office 365, and indeed in a lot of cases within SharePoint on-premise as well. And that is the concept of individual users sharing reports and sharing dashboards and sharing data insights. so that the rest of the team can actually derive value from them as well. So in my very simple example here, I've got some data sets in relation to Olympic Games. I've got some data sets in relation to retail bar sales for a bar that's, I think, based in Seattle. And you can see, that there's documents being shared and there's featured reports, and it's all very, very easy and accessible to end users. The one feature I just wanted to show you very briefly was the concept of what is called popular questions. And again, this is a Power BI, so this is only available within Office 365 Power BI. But it really shows where we're going in relation to how intuitive data access is becoming. So if I click on the Ask button, so again, what I have here, just to remind people, are two data sets, one got to do with Olympic Games and one got to do with retail sales. So up here in the bar, I can actually just start typing. I can type in sales. And what it will do is it will actually go, it'll figure out where my query is best applied to. So on the left-hand side, you can see it actually tells me it went to the retail bar sales data, and it's bringing back results from that. And it's just a figure. It has figured out, it has totaled, it has done all of the magic behind the scenes. I have done absolutely nothing here. There's been no queries written by me. It has done all this work for me. I can type in Ireland's medals. I can actually just mistype medals. It even understands what I understand what I meant by that, and actually it lists out all of the Irish medal winners from the Olympic Games. And again, you can quite clearly see that it's taking that from the Olympics data set. I can take this a bit further. I can go medal counts by year for, yeah, actually there's one for swimming versus athletics. There's one I've done before. Sorry, I beg your pardon, medal count for year for swimming versus athletics. And what you can see here is actually, not alone is it displaying the data to me, but it actually has picked the most appropriate visualization for it. So where the sales figure was just a figure, this is now showing me a line chart. So very, very quickly, and again, I have not done any work here. It's just really just going down to the base data. It's figuring out what I need, and it's figuring out the appropriate visualizations. And I can just extend this. I can go for 1984. And again, it has got the data for me, but this time it's changed the visualizations ever so slightly. So again, that's very, very neat. I can go back to sales by hour. And again, it's figured out this is not an Olympic data set question. This is a retail bar sales question. So again, very rich visualizations there. And I can extend that sales by day of the week. And again, it's gone and done that. And again, you can clearly see Saturdays are quite popular, Fridays are quite popular. Then at the left, if I don't like that visualization, I can pick another one. So I can pick a pie chart, for example. So I can clearly see there that Saturdays and Fridays in this particular data set are actually accounting for half of the sales, which probably comes as no surprise. And then I can do things like, recipe for Manhattan. There we go. So, within this particular data set, it actually has the recipes for cocktails. So really very quick, very Bing-like in the way that you can type in queries, and it actually, in the blue underneath my current query, it says show recipes where item name is Manhattan. So really that's the query that's running against that data set. Okay. So again, that's in Power BI, but it is an indication of where the Microsoft technology stack is going, really making it very, very easy and intuitive for end users to get access to data. Okay. So back to the slide deck. So the demo, Ian, thanks again for that. So very briefly, again, the three pillars of what the data analytics space within Storm Technology means, ranging from BI strategy through to implementation, data analysis, data modeling, reporting, and visualizations. Again, if anybody has any queries on anything you've seen today or any aspects of business intelligence or data analytics, I'll be showing my contact details at the end. Okay. So what are the next steps? There's a number of next steps really where we can move forward from here. So we run a number of different programs. The first one that you can see there is what we call a boot camp. And really it's a fairly intensive one-day overview, a whistle-stop tour of all of the business intelligence area within the Microsoft technology stack. So we can go through BI components, building a traditional BI solution. We cover self-service BI, Power Pivot, Power View, right away through to Power BI, Office 365 and SharePoint. So that's a one-day whistle-stop tour. If someone wants an overview of the Microsoft Business Intelligence Stack, then that's the bootcamp for you. We also provide what we call quick start guides, quick start days, and these can be consumed in either 3 or 5 days. And this is really hands-on. This is on a customer-by-customer basis. So this is where we'll build together a fully functional prototype data warehouse along with a complete Microsoft BI platform. So we'll cover SSIS, SSAS, RS, we'll cover SharePoint BI. You'll really learn about the Microsoft BI platform from top to bottom. You'll become proficient with the BI developer tools that will really accelerate your projects and improve your solutions. And our aim is to send you home ready to undertake the toughest BI projects within your organization. Now, an interesting point on the quick start days, some of you may be familiar with the Microsoft Planning Services days, so some of those days can actually be used as payment for these quick start guides. So if your organization has some of those available, definitely worth considering. Okay. And also we run individual sessions, so as I mentioned, if anybody has any particular issues or something they want covered, please let me know and we can go through that on a one-to-one basis. So future events, we aim to have a cadence of once a month we run webinars like this, so we're aiming for the last Thursday of every month that we're going to be running sessions. So you can see some of the sessions that we've planned out coming up on your screen. The first one that we're looking at is data quality services, master data services, and the whole topic of EIM, which is enterprise information management. And it's an industry term for managing your data really for integration, quality, and governance. And during that webinar, we'll show you how technologies like SSIS and data quality services and master data services and other Microsoft technologies can work together to provide a comprehensive EIM solution. So if that's of interest to you, that will be happening on the last Thursday of January, which is the 23rd. Other sessions coming up around Power BI, Power Pivot, you saw in Ian's demo, so we'll be delving a lot more into that in the future webinar. Excel for analysts, as we keep mentioning, there's a lot of power now within that tool. And a lot of analysts, be they business analysts, data analysts, technical analysts, are finding Excel is their tool of choice from a day-to-day work point of view. Some of you may be aware that SQL Server 2014 is just about to come out, so we'll be covering a webinar in relation to what is new in relation to that product. And data warehousing and predictive analytics, and indeed running a successful BI project. So we use industry standard delivery mechanisms, but we have slightly tweaked them in relation to real world, what we find works within organizations and within our Irish organizations. So we'll be sharing some of our secrets in relation to how to deliver and run a successful BI project. Okay. So I don't see any questions at the moment. Let me just check again within the question panel. So nothing there at the moment. So really all it remains is for me to say thank you very much for joining. Here are my contact details. Please feel free to drop any questions or comments to my email address or just give me a ring. And really thank you again for joining the webinar today. So what is the takeaway? Really the takeaway is that the power is really going towards end users, and it's really handing the power to end users and really allowing them to get value from the data. But we're also showing you that it is still possible from an IT point of view and a governance point of view to control this. So really the message is end user created, IT controlled. So again, thank you very much for joining, and I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.